Welcome to Discovering You, a podcast that explores the intricacies of personality and how it impacts the way we navigate through life. What will you discover today? Hi, listeners. Hi, Heather.
Hi there.
Welcome to the Best of 2024 episode. I always enjoy doing this. It's a good way to reflect on the past year, and it gives me the opportunity to revisit some of our conversations. If you're new to this podcast, I think this is a great one to start with, as you'll get a sampling of the various topics that we've discussed and the people we've spoken to. Heather, do you have a favorite episode or moment from the past year?
There's just way too many moments, I think, that were fun. But I do have a favorite episode. So EI in the World of AI is my favorite episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went back and did a little once over with all of them when we were planning to do this. I just found it interesting. You talked about impulse control and emotion regulation and stress management, and it all just feels very on brand for me on things that I think about a lot. What is your favorite?
I'm glad you said that. So listeners, if that sounded interesting to you, for sure, go check that one out. I don't know if I pulled a highlight for that. I think I was more focused on, our funnier moments when I'm going back and listening. And then I just start cracking up again. So you will find out, because as you'll hear, some of the clips that I pulled are, you and I being a little silly and having some fun. But before we find out, how are you feeling today, Heather? What's your mood meter showing?
My mood meter is feeling excited. So I'm in the yellow, high energy, pleasant.
Awesome.
And excited is defined as enthusiastic about something in the future.
That's great. For me, this is weird. You and I get into these conversations a lot about the meaning of words and what we would think they mean versus what they actually do mean. And I also feel like it's high energy. It was going between sort of the positive and not so positive. So I wasn't sure if I was going to be yellow or red, but okay, so I'm in the red. And the weird thing is, I'm going to tell you the word that I got, and I'm going to ask you if you would think this word was a red word. Okay, so I got concerned. You tell me, because maybe this is our high S, low S difference. But for me, I would think like concerned is very much a green energy, right? High S's are usually making sure people are okay. And no, you're shaking your head.
That's not how I see it.
Interesting.
I would think concerned is red for sure, because red is high energy, unpleasant.
Fair. I'll read it. So it says, wondering if someone or something is okay.
This maybe has less to do with my disc profile, but when you're concerned about someone else.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm concerned probably not about a person, but about a situation or potentially an animal.
Right. Yeah.
My concern comes in around that. I rarely have a lot of concern for others the way that you do, like on a scale. I don't mean like I don't have concern for others, but where you're probably concerned about someone you saw like walking down the street that you don't know, that like, I don't have that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, it does say if someone or something. So it can be both, right? So clearly I went to the someone and you kind of are going to the something.
Right.
Interesting.
So you think that's a yellow?
No, I was thinking it was a green.
Oh, green.
I understand that wouldn't be pleasant, right? And green is
low energy, pleasant. Yeah.
I understand it.
I would have said blue even.
Right. Yeah. I think it's the way that we view it. I think you nailed it. Good or bad, it's a natural state. It's a little more than my normal. In fairness, this is also a tie-in. It is about someone and something at the same time. That's maybe why it came up that way. Anyway, I love where these mood meter conversations take us.
They're fun.
Okay, since the holidays are almost here, let's unwrap disc as presents. High D is an Omega watch. It makes a strong statement. Be on time. Heather, this is touching on several conversations we've had about this. High I, chocolates, such a sweet serotonin boost. High S is cozy PJs, comforting and relaxing. High C, books, entertainment and learning through the written word. Which one of these would you prefer to receive, Heather?
Honestly, probably books or chocolate. I mean, books
Books
align,
align, yeah.
chocolate doesn't. I give a watch.
I don't know how many people wear watches that aren't like Fitbits or things like that now, but I wanted the point to be what D's about. Like, let's make a statement. So it's a statement because it's quality, it's noticeable. And, D's are kind of about that, but also like making the statement in two ways. Also be on time because we know D's don't like you to be late. And that's very relevant today, isn't it, Heather? We'll just leave it at that.
I don't mind if people are late, if there's a reason for being late. But if you're just like lackadaisical about being
Yeah,
like, oh, well, it's 10-ish is the time we're recording. It's not 10-ish.
right.
But if something comes up, I'm not a tyrant.
We're going to hear more about that conversation. I don't know if this is the first episode you're listening to or not. One of the clips that we're going to hear is Heather and I and our, our differences on how we view that. Let's get to it. The first clip comes from the Love Languages episode. And I poke a little fun at high D's here. And Heather, I think we even get into the subject of your relationship or non relationship to hugs.
Yeah. I don't love hugs. Not going to lie.
And that's okay. So that's the whole physical touch. That's not your love language.
It's definitely not my love language.
Here is disc according to symbols of love. For high D, I chose a red rose. Vibrant, strong. Beware of the thorns, though. LOL, high D's. I'm teasing. High I is heart. It's the quintessential symbol of love, and who better to embody it than the eyes who wear their hearts on their sleeves? For high S, I chose lovebirds. They support each other, they're loyal, they mate for life. And high C is a love letter. C's value the written word, and what better way to express their thoughts? Heather, I want to give you a chance to take a guess at what you think. Which love language would line up with which disc factor, even if you want to just try one?
So I thought about this when we were preparing because I knew you would probably go here.
I'm so predictable.
Well, it's what the podcast's about, which I don't have any I, but I think the physical touch and the high I go together.
Oh my gosh, bingo. Yes.
I always think of you like high S, nurses, teachers, and then that's acts of service. And then the other one that I think potentially goes together are the words of affirmation and the high C.
Okay. Heather, you're going to start running my workshops for me now, right?
Perfect.
Okay. So the one that you didn't mention, and I have to say, this is a challenging one too. So for high D, I think I lined it up with receiving gifts. But in this case, I said it almost could be giving them though. And you know what I did? I started to think about some high Ds in my life and realized they like to buy the gifts and give the gifts. And I know that's you. So maybe that is your high D coming through because a gift is tangible, right? Ds are very much, can I see this? Is there an end result? Is there a goal? It's very much about tangible things. And so I think that's how I've aligned it with D, right? And even, if you get them a good gift and it speaks to them, great, bonus. Oh, I wanted that. Perfect. And also, depending on if you're a good shopper or not, it could be quick and easy. We know Ds can be a little impatient and they kind of want to see something for what they're getting. Like, I'm putting something into this. What am I getting? Well, there you go. Physical gift. Yes, for high I think physical touch. So you're right on that.
It's interesting. My friends are always like, don't worry, I'm not going to hug you. That's what made me think of it. Because I'm like, I have no I in my personality. I also don't love hugs.
That is very funny. Well, and we know that high eyes love hugs. So you probably have a lot of eyes around you. And even just when they're talking, they're hand talkers, they'll lean in, they'll touch your shoulder, they'll do that. So for sure, high I have physical touch for. And yes, high S acts of service, absolutely. And for all those reasons you said, overwhelmingly, we know high S's are counselors, nurses, teachers, GPs, all of those types of things. And then for high C, of course, words of affirmation. C's what we talked about. They love the written word if it's in writing, but also just to know that what they're doing is important and counts. The next excerpt is from Showcasing Steadiness with Sean. Sean, I really wanted to start this series off with you because I've said this to you before. You don't have what I would call a prototypical sales profile, and yet you're incredibly successful. I think you're a great example of how knowing yourself, staying true to yourself, leaning into your strengths allows you to really take an authentic approach to selling. I guess what I want to say is, what do you think sets you apart from other sales approaches?
I think it's boring. I think a lot of people believe there's a magic pill that you take the magic pill and you're going to be successful. It was Michael Jordan, and there was a quote a number of years ago that he had made to basically say, "I'm very boring. I will sit there and practice shot after
Yeah.
shot after shot after shot, and it's the same shot." But it made him the best basketball player ever. Yes, what I do on a daily basis, some people would say, I can't do that. A high D would look at my schedule and say, there's no chance. It's not happening. But for me, it's been proven now for 20 years that I'm able to control it better, not have the huge ups and downs, and then at that point, make sure that I am, and I wouldn't say perfect because I'm far from perfect, but perfect in the job that I'm doing at that time.
And I like when there's also another team member is there. She was there last time, Oreo.
Yeah, didn't bring her in today.
No, she might be making noise. I can't remember if did we sort of profile Oreo? So the listeners already know because Heather and I have talked about, we profiled our pets. I feel like I might have taken a stab at it last time.
I don't know if we ever did with Oreo.
I think she might be similar. I think she might have a high I and a high S. Is she pretty structured?
You know she's a dog, right?
Yes, I know she's a dog, but it's me.
True enough.
There's no limit to this. Heather, I remember after we recorded this, you were very taken with Sean's steady approach and how different it is in the sphere of sales. So I guess you don't see that often. Would that be a safe assumption?
I just thought he was so interesting in his process, even.
Mm-hmm.
We're referral based. We don't do bench signs and things like that. But in the sales people that I work with, they're very high D and they're just say it, do it, say it, do it, say it, do it. And he just seemed so different from that.
Totally. And that's why I really wanted him to be on that episode to represent high S, because he does not have a high D, which tends to be a little bit more rare as somebody who is the lead of a very successful team. And I just really love the approach he takes. And I thought, well, as the title says, I'd like to showcase it and show, hey, there isn't a one way to do this. It isn't a high D way always. Here's what success looks like taking the high S path. And then, of course, we also got silly on this episode because I revealed just how far we go with Disc on the show. And yes, I did make an attempt to profile his dog because Heather and I have profiled our pets. So there you have it.
Why wouldn't we?
We love our pets. Moving on to our episode on the 4 archetypes of happiness. I think what you say here, Heather, it might be my favorite soundbite of the year. Let's listen. For me, I have the least in the hedonist, and the most is a tie between rat racer, yikes, and the happy person. What about you, Heather?
I would say, honestly, I'm mostly a happy person, but of the other options, I would say mostly hedonist. To be honest, I think I D and C myself in this too. Some days I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to eat the chocolate and I'm going to drink the wine and life is short and I don't care. Story of my life.
Now from another guest and client I interviewed, illustrating influence with Rachel Hammer. Rachel is such a believer in DISC, not only for team building, but for clients as well. Here's what she had to say. What I would say then is, what do you think the impact of having been through workshops and having the opportunity to have the profiles of your team members, how has that been impactful for you?
Well, first of all, I'm so big on the DISC profile. When we did it with the team the first time, if you recall, we did recognize that as a team, based on the personalities we had, we were not thinking outside of the box, that we were so safe and so risk adverse that we weren't doing things in an industry where you have to be a little more comical, a little bit more outside of the box. So it really made us think as a team, oh, we've just found something that's missing here. And now we should look for the right person to fit our team based on what's missing and not overpopulate our team with too much similar personalities and roles that were not matching their communication styles, right? We actually added DISC as as something to circle on our lead sheets when you're talking to a client for the first time, whether it's a buyer or a seller, it is so important to recognize what are the key elements that they're saying to us about what's important to them and recognize what profile they might be, and then try to match the realtor on our team to the client's profile. So that's part of the role that I play in terms of welcoming a new person to our team, a new client, and then ensuring that we're matching them with the right personality on the team.
Okay, now that you've heard both, I just want to point something out here, which I think is really exemplified with the interviews. So think of Sean, hi S, that you just listened to, and Rachel, hi I. Can you hear the difference in their tones, pace, and energy levels? Kind of on brand for their disc factors. So you can see why I chose each of them to be the ambassadors of their disc style. Now from the recruiting and hiring with disc episode. There's some humorous moments from me being really tired and Heather teasing me about my failed attempt at a drum roll. Of course, I had to put that one in, Heather.
Too funny.
I know I always tell you I'm a night owl, and I am because I enjoy being up at night, but usually it's like reading, relaxing, those kinds of things. If I'm actually full on capacity working, this is tying into the whole HSP part. It takes me time to really to wind down. And then even more silly. So it's about 11:45. I'm finishing working. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't done Wordle and connections yet. So I don't know if you do those. If listeners, if you're fans of this, you maybe will get my struggle. I'm like, oh no. Especially with Wordle, because I'm on a streak. The other ones, it doesn't matter. But I'm like, I cannot break it. Then I ridiculously try to power through those to get those in before midnight. Not exactly conducive to a restful night.
Well, and I was going to say, you didn't have a second coffee, did you?
Today?
No, last night. Yesterday.
No.
That kept you up?
No, I didn't, but I did today because I need it. The disc job profile that comes up is drum roll.
Is that your drum roll? Sorry, we'll have to put in an actual drum roll there.
Oh my gosh, Heather just shamed me for my drum roll.
That was very weak drum roll.
And from our episode with Michelle Minikin, before my conversation with her, Heather, you and I got onto the topic of being late versus early. Here's where this is popping up. So this one was it for me. I think this was our biggest laugh of the year. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Michelle opened up about how her late in life ADHD diagnosis impacted her and led her to some big aha moments, self-discovery, and how she charted a new career course around this. Let's say you're having somebody over to your house. So people are coming over.
Hey, we don't do that.
Okay. So we're going to stop in our tracks right now on that.
We don't have people over.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to ask you to maybe imagine that, okay? And imagine that, you're doing stuff. Either you're cooking or you're making sure the house is clean or you're just...
Victoria, it's like you don't even know me.
Okay, I'm trying to do a hypothetical.
Okay,
Heather,
sorry, yeah. Sorry.
For our listeners and for me, let's say, okay?
Okay, yep.
The point is somebody is coming into your personal space, right? And then you are trying to welcome them in and whatever. So for me, if somebody shows up early, if I say, come over at 7:00 and you ring the doorbell at 5 to 7, I'm annoyed.
I think people are like me. Like I'm ready at 1:45, so they can come if they want.
This is fascinating.
I just like to be planned so that I can take a breath and then walk in.
I completely agree on that. But here's the thing. Same thing. I want to be early. But then when I get to where I'm going, if the time is 7:00, I'm sitting in my car for 15 minutes. I'm not going to intrude upon...
I don't think I would go in early.
Yeah, it's so funny. I would so much rather somebody be 5 minutes late than 5 minutes early.
I dealt with my ADHD my entire life through atomic level people pleasing. And if somebody didn't like me, I could tell. if somebody didn't like me. And I would make it literally my life's mission to make them like me. It's just how much energy and effort has gone into that. So we talked about that sort of rejection sensitivity and that sort of fear of criticism.
And then the funny thing is, I said to you, have you done a disc and do you remember it? Because that's the main platform that I use. What you just described there in terms of the people pleasing, the rejection sensitivity, I already had you pegged for a really high I followed by a high D, which is so funny because that's exactly what you wrote to me and said you think you are. But that is also very, very much a trademark of high I's, is that wanting to please, the fear of rejection and the sensitivity around it. This was a fun trip down memory lane. Listeners, do you have a favorite episode or clip? Let us know in the comments. Wishing all of you a very happy holiday season and catch you in the new year.
Happy holidays. See you in the new year.
Bye.
If you're interested in connecting with Victoria for team building, strategic onboarding, coaching, or a speaking engagement, you can contact her at discoverwhatworks@gmail.com.
This show is a Twisted Spur media production produced by our very own Heather McPherson. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share with a friend and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.